Forums are Bros. This is George Shifton. We're here backstage at the Gramercy Theater. I'm here with Billy from Biohazard. Welcome home, man. I mean, this is home.
It's home. New York. It's good to be here, man. It's awesome.
Today you're on Reborn In Defiance. So first and foremost, let's talk about that record. I've heard it. The people out there are going to get to hear it this Friday when it comes out. So why don't you tell us about the whole process? Because I know there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears put into this record.
There always is on a Biohazard record, but this record was the end of our reunion tour. Like, we went on tour in 2008 together. It was the first time the original guys were back together again. And we toured like 42 crazy fucking countries all around the world and shit. Had a great time, got along, and at first, be honest, I didn't think it would last for 2 weeks. And it was 2 months went by, and I was like, wow, we're still getting along. Nobody's fighting. And then it was two years, and we were in the studio working on a record. So while we were making the record, we kept leaving and going back on tour, and then we'd come back in the studio and continue working on some new music. And we kept doing that, and we started working with our producer Toby Wright. And when we were done, we had this whole group of songs. We're like, wow, I guess we're making a record, And I mean, it just wasn't like a planned thing. That nothing has ever been with Biohazard. We just kind of just go with it. It's not about so much the hype. That's everybody else that kind of does that shit. To us, it's just about the music and what we do and who we are.
So it was a pretty easy record to write, basically?
Nothing good is ever easy, I think, I think the best creativity comes out of tension, and whenever you're in a situation where you have to compromise, it's something in the middle of two extreme ideas, So I don't believe in compromise in any art, especially my music, but with us as a band, there was, moments of severe Biohazard tension, but that's good shit. That's when we're all looking for the right things. And some guitars got thrown into the wall, and a few pushes and shoves, but it was all about fuck yeah. We all are so passionate about what we do, and working on the songs. It was different too. Like this record too, we focused, instead of focusing on a record, or a CD or an album, whatever you want to call it. We just focused on one song at a time. And when we were done, we were like, this song fucking kicks ass. We moved on to another song. And we kept that focus. Toby Wright helped us keep that focus. If we started fucking around, or if we went away for 2 weeks and we didn't want to get back in the studio because we were tired from touring or whatever. But keeping that focus brought us to where we were able to make Reborn In Defiance. So it was easy in a lot of ways, difficult in a lot of ways, but I think overall it was well worth the hard work and energy and time that we put into the record. We pretty much moved into my studio in LA and lived there around the clock. Toby was there, maybe 23 hours a day, and then he'd take 4 hours, 5 hours off to sleep and come back and meet up with one of us. So, especially with Bob, I remember Bobby and I were tracking guitars in the day. We'd take turns in different times of days, and I'd come back and sing later at night. Evan would work pretty much only at night, and then so when we were done, we really didn't get a chance to really see the whole album as its whole until we were finished. And because working on songs in the rehearsal studio and shit, as we were writing, it was like demos, but it wasn't until we were done, we were mixing. Toby and I were in the studio in Seattle, some haunted studio, and I was like, wow, this shit's fucking, it's a fucking full-on Biohazard record. So I look at that record as like a record that we all made out of, it's an expression of what's inside of us. It's like we turn ourselves inside out and let people see what is going on with us, in our hearts and souls and in our heads. It's an honest representation of where we are, who we are.
I mean, I think the title itself kind of sums up what you just said, is Reborn In Defiance, especially a band like Biohazard, who you said never had, and no band out there who was successful has never had anything easy, but you guys especially had, all the odds against you, and you somehow, rose to the top.
And we still do.
Yeah.
I always prefer being the underdog. I love having my back against the corner and people, counting me out, because I come out swinging, and I'm going to get out of the situation. Always have, and I always will. The band is like that, and we've been in some rough spots. I think, but the thing is that people look at, yeah, but you had this going on, and I'm thankful for every fucking thing. I'm thankful for being here. I respect and love and cherish all the things that have, come to us. But everything that's happened to us, we worked for. But what happens is people see, okay, cool, they got on MTV, but you know, MTV played Punishment. It was the most big, you know, most played video in a Headbangers Ball ever by a band. That's fucking awesome. That's cool. But for that great thing that happened to us, there were fucking 50 fucking horrible things that fell through, and the disasters that whatever was going on, you know. And then out of those 50, 10 of them were fucking huge disasters. So there's so much shit that goes on behind the scenes that people only see, stuff that just kind of rises to the top, the good shit that happens, you know.
And of course, recently you were faced with a very tough situation. You finished with a record, and of course, Evan Seinfeld left the band for whichever reasons. And as you said before, any other band would have said, you know what, why keep going on with this? And what message do you have for people that say, oh, without Evan, Biohazard doesn't exist?
Well, we do exist, and you'll see us in a little while. But it's a different thing, you know. We have our boy Scott Roberts playing bass and singing, and he was in the band for the last 2 records on guitar. He's our boy. He's great. But Evan quit. I'm not happy about it. It caught me like a fucking surprise. I was bummed, a little betrayed. But he has his personal reasons, and I respect why he threw in the towel, why he quit. I'm not a quitter. I can't, and I didn't want to just give up because he gave up. I love doing this, always have, and I love where I am. I look at it like that was then, and this is now. It's a new era for the band, and there's a lot of people that are coming to see us and that are being turned on to Biohazard that didn't know Biohazard before. So this is going to be their first time, you know, finding out who we are, and the record is a great representation, and we pull it off live. It works well.
So you guys see Scott as a, like, let's say, a permanent member, or you still have to?
Yeah, unless he turns into some crazy crackhead overnight, he's the man, you know.
And what are, I mean, obviously you're about to play to your hometown crowd, and I know you being in New York at heart, it's an amazing feeling. But why don't you tell us about, like, a little bit about how you guys prepare for it? Obviously you had the show in Albany this weekend, which also another important show because it's New York. How did you guys prepare for this whole world tour now, especially when you have more responsibilities than, let's say, when you started out?
Well, I for the first time in our career, we actually went in and like rehearsed before a tour, you know, and we were in, you know, rehearsing in the studio all last week, and we were doing like, you know, 6 hours. We were running through the set like 2-3 songs, you know, 2-3 times and shit. And we also worked on all the new music, so we were playing all the new songs together, working stuff out with Scott, and then just feeling each other out and jamming. So that was something different that we did with this record. We never used to do that back in the day, but then we played Albany on Sunday night, and last night we played in Reading, Pennsylvania, and they were great shows. We had a good time. It was ice cold, it's fucking witch's tit in Albany, but it was like -10 or something, -20 or something. But it's a good time. We played this place called Bogies. So we're ready.
It's a good place.
Yeah, and we're ripping and ready, and psyched to be on tour.
So it's kind of like hitting rewind for a little bit and kind of saying, okay, we gotta have no comfort level whatsoever and just go back up there, you know, just kind of like prove everybody again.
Yeah, I think the thing about we don't like feeling comfortable. We like feeling, you know, life is not comfortable, you know. So for us, we love being, you know, with our backs against the wall, you know. And again, it ties into Reborn in Defiance. People, you know, they can, you know, check us off and be like, yeah, dismiss us over, you know, Evan not being here, but we're still doing it, you know, and it's going cool. So.
All right, Bill, I want to thank you, man, not only for all the years of being in the music game, but also for being inspiration, not only for fans, but also a lot of musicians. I know you worked recently with one of my favorite bands in New York with No Remission. You produced a record, and it has your flavor to it. And I know one of the things those guys always tell me about is how you went into them and you were like, all right, this is not the way to do it right, but this is kind of like, you kind of took an approach of kind of like a friend to them, and they were like, oh, this is Billy from Biohazard, and I was like, well, there you go.
I have a studio in LA, and it wasn't here on the East Coast, and I moved out there, but I did the record here, and as it's firewaterstudios.com, you can check out what I got going on, but when I work with No Remission, in all my bands, it's like I'm like the extra member, I'm the other guy, you know what I mean? I look at it like it's my name goes on it, so I treat it like it's my band, and because I'm artist friendly, you know, I'm musician first, producer second. Like I don't always make decisions that are better for business for the studio. And I tell bands like, hey, listen, we can do it like this. Let's work out the songs outside the studio. Let's get them together, because you don't want to try to work out the parts in the studio. It's expensive. It's a waste of money and time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get our shit together outside the studio. Work on the songs, come up with some ideas, bounce shit back and forth. And I'm proud of that record. It came out great. I hope good things happen to those guys. I was supposed to come here for their record release show, but I was out with Blood for Blood and missed it. But I like this guy. No Remission. Check him out.
Absolutely. We're gonna sign up, Derek. Thank you so much for the camera work.
No
of
problem.
course, Paul, who made all this happen, and of course the Gramercy Theater, who is about, they don't even know what's coming to them, but around 10:30 Biohazard is gonna hit center stage. New record is gonna be out this Friday, Reborn in Defiance. Make sure you pick it up, and thank you again.